tourist walks into a bar and single-handedly destroys centuries of local culture. Okay, it's not exactly a joke, but the impact of irresponsible tourism is no laughing matter. From drunken debauchery in ancient temples to selfie-induced accidents at natural wonders, tourist behavior is making headlines for all the wrong reasons. Let's take a humorous yet honest look at our own travel sins. Have you ever haggled aggressively over a $2 souvenir? Or borrowed a pebble from a historic site as a memento? Buckle up for a journey through the good, the bad, and the cringeworthy of tourist behavior. Picture this: narrow cobblestone streets winding between pastel-hued buildings, the gentle lapping of water against weathered stone, and the soft chime of church bells echoing across tranquil canals. This was Venice, a living museum of art, architecture, and cultural heritage. But today, the scene has shifted dramatically. Venice now sees more tourists than residents on an average day. Let that sink in for a moment. In 2018, over 30 million visitors flooded into a city with just 260,000 inhabitants. The result? A profound transformation that's reshaping the very soul of this iconic destination. Take St. Mark's Square, once the bustling heart of Venetian civic life. Today, it's often an impassable sea of selfie sticks and tour groups. Locals find themselves pushed to the margins, struggling to navigate the city they call home. The famous Rialto fish market, a centuries-old tradition, now competes with souvenir stands hawking mass-produced trinkets. But the impact goes beyond mere inconvenience. Venice's delicate ecosystem is under threat. The wake from cruise ships erodes ancient foundations, while canal pollution reaches alarming levels. The city, quite literally, is sinking under the weight of its own popularity. What about the economic benefits of this tourism boom? Surely that's a silver lining. Well, it's complicated. While tourism does bring money into the city, it's also driving up the cost of living for residents. Traditional businesses are closing, replaced by tourist-focused enterprises that often employ seasonal workers rather than locals. The cultural fabric of Venice is fraying. Imagine growing up in a city where your neighborhood gradually transforms into a theme park version of itself, where your family's favorite bakery becomes yet another gelato shop catering to the Instagram crowd. This is the reality for many Venetians. The numbers tell a stark story. Each year, approximately 1,000 residents leave Venice permanently. That's not just a statistic. It's a steady exodus of the very people who give the city its authentic character. With every departure, a piece of living history fades away. But here's a question to ponder. Is this transformation unique to Venice? Or is it a cautionary tale for beloved destinations worldwide? Ever wonder why you feel so carefree on vacation? It turns out there's a psychological phenomenon at play. Dr. Peter E. Tarlow, an expert in tourism behavior, explains that being away from home causes travelers to lower their inhibitions. This tourist syndrome leads people to engage in behaviors they'd normally avoid, from using foul language to consuming illegal substances. But it's not just about feeling free from societal constraints. Social media has amplified this effect, creating a perfect storm of bad tourist behavior. Nearly half of travelers blame platforms like Instagram and TikTok for fueling destructive actions. Think about it. How many times have you seen a photo of someone dangling dangerously off a cliff or posing inappropriately at a sacred site? The consequences of this behavior are far-reaching. We've seen tourists defacing ancient Roman villas with graffiti, littering in pristine national parks, and even harassing geishas in Kyoto, Japan. These aren't just isolated incidents, they're symptoms of a larger problem. Cultural misunderstandings play a role too. Remember the two Chinese women who faced intense backlash in Japan for their eating habits? What seemed normal to them was deemed unacceptable in Japanese culture. This incident highlights how easily cultural differences can lead to negative perceptions of tourists. But here's where it gets interesting. About 40% of travelers believe that vacation is a time to let loose because they're in an unfamiliar place. This mindset, combined with the tourism industry's promotion of what Freya Higgins Daisbiolis calls an illusion of unlimited indulgence, creates a perfect recipe for misbehavior. The impact of this bad behavior goes beyond just annoying locals. It's creating an us versus them mentality that threatens the very foundation of tourism. Michael O'Regan points out that the trend of sharing videos of tourist misbehavior on social media is exacerbating tensions between visitors and residents. Naming and shaming people weakens public support for tourists. He notes, "So, what's the solution? Many believe stricter punishments are the answer. In fact, 61% of travelers support harsher penalties for those who behave poorly while traveling. But is punishment really the best approach? Or are we missing a crucial piece of the puzzle?" As we've explored the challenges of over-tourism, you might be wondering, is there any hope for harmonious travel? The answer lies in an unexpected cultural practice from New Zealand that's changing the game. But before we unveil this innovative approach, let's take a journey through the world of sustainable tourism. Imagine strolling through Amsterdam's picturesque canals, surrounded by the city's rich history and vibrant culture. Now picture those same streets overcrowded with tourists, locals struggling to go about their daily lives. This scenario prompted Amsterdam to take action, implementing a series of measures to combat over-tourism. The city halted new hotel and souvenir shop openings, tightened regulations on private rentals, and even raised tourism taxes. But do these measures truly solve the problem? Or are they merely band-aids on a deeper wound? Enter the concept of sustainable tourism, a delicate balancing act between reaping economic benefits and preserving the very essence that makes a destination special. It's not just about limiting numbers, it's about fostering a mindset of responsibility and respect among travelers. This is where education initiatives come into play. Take Kyoto, for instance. The city developed a smartphone app that sends etiquette reminders to tourists, gently nudging them towards more respectful behavior. It's a small step, but one that acknowledges a crucial truth. Many tourists aren't intentionally disrespectful. They simply lack awareness. But awareness alone isn't enough. We need tools that empower travelers to make better choices. That's where technology steps in, offering apps and platforms designed to promote responsible tourism. These digital aids can help visitors find eco-friendly accommodations, support local businesses, and even calculate their carbon footprint. Yet, as we embrace these high-tech solutions, we must not lose sight of the human element at the heart of travel. This brings us to the million-dollar question. What role can individual travelers play in shaping the future of tourism? The answer lies in a simple yet powerful promise that's transforming New Zealand's tourism landscape. Enter the Tioki Promise, a pledge rooted in the Maori concept of katekitanga, which emphasizes our role as guardians of the natural world. The Tioki Promise asks visitors to act as guardians of New Zealand, protecting its landscapes and respecting its cultures. But here's the kicker. It's not just about what tourists give, it's also about what they receive. The promise includes a warm welcome for those who demonstrate respect, fostering a reciprocal relationship between visitors and locals. This approach goes beyond mere rules or guidelines. It taps into our innate desire for connection and belonging. The beauty of the Tioki Promise lies in its simplicity and adaptability. It's not about complex regulations or punitive measures. It's about changing mindsets and fostering a sense of responsibility. By asking tourists to see themselves as temporary guardians rather than mere consumers of a destination, it reframes the entire travel experience. As we wrap up our journey through the complexities of tourism, it's clear that travel is a double-edged sword. It can boost economies and foster cultural exchange, but also strain local resources and erode traditions. The key lies in mindful, responsible tourism. Before your next trip, research your destination's customs and challenges. Minimize waste, support local businesses, and treat every place as if it were your own home. Remember, true exploration isn't about ticking off bucket list items. It's about meaningful connections and leaving positive footprints. So, as you plan your next adventure, ask yourself, how will you ensure your trip leaves a positive impact? Your choices shape not just your experience, but the future of the places you visit. Travel well, travel responsibly, and keep exploring the world with open eyes and an open heart.